Hey, Tej here. Today we're taking a look at technical analysis for Bitcoin. I'll cover wave analysis with Elliott Waves theory and provide multiple scenarios the price may take and explain why I prefer one count over another. Let's take a look at the different possibilities. Starting here on daily time frame and looking at these higher time frame structures first, where I do think that we have had a three-way structure from the 69k highs. The overall idea was that we had a three-way structure here, whether it's an ABC or a WXY, like I have it on this count, does not really matter. The overall structure, again, in my opinion, is best to look at with the three-way structure in mind. It is possible that we have WXYXZ, where X wave is here, or X wave is going to be here, and then we would be continuing for that wave Y for lower price. Wave Z here. So again, I wouldn't like this to be a wave A here, B and then C, because again it would be very out of proportion, but I'll just label it here for now. But again, yeah, three-way structure down here, and then looking for some kind of a corrective move, correcting this whole structure here to create it as a three-way structure like so. Whether we are going to be taking out the lows that we have here, I'm not quite sure. It is very much still a possibility. But yeah, the overall idea is that we are going to be creating some kind of structure here to pivot upwards a bit, taking out at least these highs of 25k. Most likely this area is my target, and has been for some time now. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out, but again, those are the higher time frame targets. Of course, we have other possibilities here as well, having this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, not my primary idea at all. Just because the extension here for that third wave just barely did not even reach 1.382. Generally, when we want to be targeting a far away structure, we want to be seeing the 1.618. Otherwise, we just don't have any evidence to base our counts for why this would be an impulsive structure to the downside. Again, we have the ABC structure here as well, which would fit it way better. Now let's zoom into smaller time frame and looking at the bullish count first, which is the only bullish count I have at the moment. Again, by bullish I mean an impulsive count of the lows. Of course, we have basically all of the counts are bullish, as they are targeting higher up at some point towards this area here of the 30k. But for smaller time frames, that is not the case. So in here, again, the idea was that we had a three-way structure into one, three ways, creating a diagonal here into wave one, and then again a three-way structure down here. Not taking out the start of that wave one here, would still have this as a possibility of being a wave two. I don't have this as a preference, so yeah, that's that. The other scenario here is that this would be an A wave, B wave, and then looking for C wave. Way more possible in my opinion, fitting the higher time frame pictures or higher time frame ideas way better. We have few different ones. This is no longer valid or really good looking. Why? Because again, A was here. We were thinking about this as an AB and then looking for C. At this point, again, this was a three-way structure, so we would have to have this as a three-way structure if we want to have some diagonal here into the next structure over. So this would be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that doesn't have a right look anymore because this wave 2 would be so large. Definitely not going to be even wasting my time on that count at the moment. The next one in here is still relevant, somewhat relevant. Wave B here is, however, very large. So three waves into A, three waves into B, having this as an ABC, meaning that we have a C wave or 5-way structure here. We would have three waves, three waves, three waves, three waves, and three waves down here into that wave B, and then we would be looking for a C wave structure here. This is definitely one of the variants where we would be looking for quite a pump here. Whether this is going to be an ABC in itself, creating a diagonal, wave 2, 3, and 4, 5 into a wave 1 in here, wave 2, and then 3, 4, 5. At that point, again, we would be targeting this same area here overall. If this is again turning into a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again, that same area would possibly be the target area, depending, of course, how high this wave 1 might go. Then we have a slight modification about this, which is a bit more bearish, in which we would most likely take out these lows. In this one, again, we would have this as an ABC in here into A. Instead of A being at these highs, we would have it here. And because, again, we would label this medium or middle structure the same, this would mean that this 5-way structure would be not the end of something where we had it here, but actually a start of something. So we would have to label this as an A wave, B wave, and then C wave. For this structure, again, we would have to have this as a 3-way structure, as an ABC. Whether it is ending with this ABC or it is going to be creating a larger structure in itself, again, we have no idea about that yet. But those are the structures to keep in mind and having a look at. Dan had this count a while ago. I'm not quite sure if he's been updating this at all or not, but I've still had it on my radar still. In this one, again, we had an A wave here, and then looking for a 3-way pullback here. He had this in mind, where we would have this diagonal ending at these lows already instead of these. So we would have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A wave. This would be kind of similar to the other count, where we would most likely take out these lows and target some structures below here. So overall, we would be just looking at this as an A, and then for wave B, we would be looking for a 3-way structure like so. However, the smaller time frame structures in here, let's go take a look at those, are not that good. Again, the major or the worst looking structure in here is this structure over here, where we would have to say that we have this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5, where we would have 2 different expanding diagonals in a C wave. So that is definitely not very valid. While it is valid, but it is not very probable. And again, why we need to be having this as a 5-way structure is this structure over here. This definitely feels more like a 5-way structure, so we don't have a partner leg for it, and we would invalidate that idea here, as we did go beyond the start of it. So we would need to end the count there before actually before taking out the highs. And again, as we are ending a previous count at these lows, we have to be saying that this was an ABC, and this would be an ABC here as well, and then another 3-way structure here to create this WXY. So just based on the smaller time frame structures, this is the reason that I don't really like this that much. But we'll just keep on looking at it and seeing how this smaller time frame progresses. But yeah, those are basically all of the higher time frames. There is still one more, which is again this one, A, B, and C. The C wave gets to the 0.618 extension of this A wave here, so it is still valid. However, again, is kind of ugly looking overall. Again, because again the C wave is kind of short and does not take out the highs of A. So this is, while it is still possible, it is just ugly. And in this case, most likely we are taking out these current lows as well. In this one, for the wave B, we would be looking for this as a 3-way structure into W, 3 ways into X, and then another 3-way structure into wave Y. If this wave structure retraces more than the 90% area here of that wave W, which would be around 22.1 to 22.3k, then we would be having the possibility of this being an A, B, and C instead of a WXY. And that would just mean that the expectation here on smaller time frame would be a bit different. Instead of a 3-way structure for the wave Y, we would be having a 5-way structure for that C. But those are the higher time frame structures. There's definitely a lot of them to be had, and there's definitely a lot of variety within them. So that's why I am still keeping track of these smaller time frames and playing them instead of the higher time frames, because again, the idea here is to take trades that are probable. And while we are within the same area of interest, and all of these structures that we've had are very similar, they are very 3-way-ish, very overlapping on higher time frame, it doesn't give us the confidence to play the higher time frame structures. So that's why I'm focusing on the smaller time frame, and again making these videos more about the smaller time frames instead. Hopefully that makes as much sense to you as it does for me. Now, we have a few different ideas here. It is possible that wave 5 is now done. So the overall higher time frame expectation was that, let's see, where do I have it? Too many folders, I guess. Nope. Okay. That this would be overall an A, B, and then C wave here. And within that C wave, we would be having this as a 1-2, a 1-2 structure. And then we would be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a third wave, fourth wave, and then fifth wave here to create the third. Third of third here on RSI would have the highest RSI, creating that divergence between these two highs, having the third of fifth of third having that divergence as well here against the end. So that is very probable that this structure is done here. Now we have already taken out the lows that we have had for this wave 2 here, so it is possible that we have already started to correct downwards already, and the whole fifth wave was actually in here. If we are looking at this here, we can see that. We have not taken out the start of this whole structure here, so that is still giving us confidence that there is a possibility in which we are still within that fifth and looking for this fifth here. It is possible again that wave 5 is now done. We have taken out the highs, however, again, this does not really fit into being a real nice looking five-way structure of the lows here. Last time we were talking about this wave 4 here, trying not to take out the previous wave 4, and again we did a week and got right back into it and then started to head up. That is very typical here, having swing failure pattern, these taking out some of the liquidity here. I would have expected a bit more if we did take out this much, but again, looks like we did have a lot of buying accumulation here, so we did get this wick upwards. I'm still in my Bitcoin long, and definitely this is not very good looking at the moment. Starting to think this might be already done. If we are looking at the smaller time frame here, this is what I had previously on yesterday's video. This as a three-way structure into W, three ways into X, and then three ways into wave Y. However, we took out the lows here, and we did create a divergence here because again on RSI we are comparing the closes, only the candle closes. So this is where we have this divergence. Of course, that does not take these wicks into account. So keep that in mind as well. So is it possible that we had this as a three-way here, and then we would have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or something like that? I can't really get a good looking count here anyway. The point is, I feel like we have to have it ending here. This, however, does feel like a three-way move. So we would have to be saying that the whole structure most likely is a WXY in itself instead. So WX and Y, and have it like that. Yeah, I guess we could be having this as a three-way structure. Again, it does not, I think it just hit the 0.618 here, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it did, just the 0.618, and then we would have this potential triangle, which is not again favored in RSI either. So definitely take this a bit with a pinch of salt. The idea here is, in any case, that we have had a three-way structure. However you want to be labeling it inside, does not really matter to me, at least. But yeah, that's that. Also, we hit the 0.5 for the fourth wave here, and now could be rising higher. And we had a few different ideas for this again. There was a possibility in which, again, we would have this as a five-way structure here, as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wave 4 would be kind of large compared to the wave 2. It doesn't really fit too well. However, it is still possible. We did have that divergence there, so that gives us some confidence that it is actually a five-way structure. After that point, we would have three-way pullback and then another possible five-way structure in here. Again, not perfect, but again, we would have that divergence at the end, giving us some confidence that that was again a five-way move. There's no overlap between the first and fourth although they are very close to each other, but yeah, that's that. This would also give us the possibilities, exactly the same possibility which we had on ETH. I mentioned today on the video, where we would have this as a three-way structure, and this whole thing would be a 3-3, and then we would get that last leg down here. At that point, again, the wave 4 would be so large that I'm not quite sure if that would make any sense, as wave 2 was this. But yeah, definitely need to be monitoring this. If we are coming down a bit more, then I kind of want to get out of that long to keep my profit still, and then potentially look for that short possibility if this turns into be a 5-way structure here. If it does, I feel like this structure could be part of something else, and this 5th could actually be done here, and we would have this as a 5-way structure in here, and the 3rd would be at these highs. And yeah, we still would have these divergences here and these divergences here. How this would fit into the higher time frame picture, I'm not quite sure of that yet. It is very possible that we would just combine this previous potential A wave, having this as the end of that structure, then have a connector wave structure in here, connecting this first structure over to the next, so we would be pumping up higher from here on out again. But this is definitely a very hard long to get. If this turns out to be a 5-ways, I do expect it to take out this low, and at that point again, once we have created this 5-way structure, we would be, at least I would be interested in taking along, just based on this structure alone, having that potential of getting another structure like this higher. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, I think that is quite a lot of things to talk about for today. There is definitely multiple different ways to look at the markets. Of course, there is this bearish scenario as well, which I just mentioned. And instead of even being a wave ABC, could be labeled as a WXY. I feel like I need to be labeling this as an ABC instead though, as that has way better look, and then just replace the internals here with the 5-way structure. But yeah, I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover for Bitcoin today. If you made it this far into the video, I would appreciate the likes. Links to my free Discord server in the description below, and for now I thank you for watching and hope you have an amazing rest of your day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.